Hi, kindergarten scientists. You already learned that you, yes, you, are a scientist. Well, today we will be talking more about life as a scientist. So let's watch this little video to learn more about different types of scientists and also to learn more about the types of tools that scientists use. Last learned about many of the tools that scientists use. In this video, we'll learn about even more tools that scientists use. Let's listen. Everybody take out your listening ears, and I want you to stretch them out really big. Ready? We're going to make them really big. Can you make them even bigger? Okay, it looks like you're ready to listen, kindergarten scientists. Here we go.
Hi, welcome to the Science Center. Here's a really fun exhibit about scientists, where we can learn all about different kinds of scientists and the cool tools they use. Meet my mom. She's a scientist called a marine biologist. She studies living things in the ocean.
Hola, nice to meet you. There are many different types of scientists, and each one uses special tools to do their job. Let's play a game. Gabriela, you tell me what you're thinking about, and I'll tell you a type of scientist that studies that. Then we'll help find the equipment you need to do your work.
That sounds great.
Okay, let's play.
You know what I would like to know more about? Rocks. I want to know what they're made of.
Sounds like you would like to be a geologist. A geologist studies what the earth is made of and how the earth was formed. You'll need tools to help you dig and look closely at rocks and minerals. What tools does Gabriela need to do her job?
All right, so Gabriela wants to learn about being a geologist. Can you say that word, geologist? Geologist. I wonder what tools she'll need. Geologists learn about rocks. Take a look at all of these tools. Which tools do you think she'll need? Can you name 3? Okay, let's find out.
A rock hammer can be used to chip rocks to find stuff like gold.
What tools do I need?
This gemstone was found in the ground. Use a shovel to explore what's in the ground. The magnifying glass lets you see things very closely. Great job!
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Let's play again. What cool things do you want to investigate?
Well, I'd really like to learn more about space and planets and stars.
I know.
Do you know the name of a scientist who learns about planets and stars? If you know it, call it out in 3, 2, 1. Let's see if you're right.
Kind of scientist you should be. An astronaut. An astronaut does science in space. You'll need a special suit and helmet to live in space, and a toolbox to do your work. What tools does Gabriela need to do her job?
All right, so Gabriela wants to be an astronaut. If Gabriela is an astronaut, what tools would she need? Can you guess 3? Make your guess. Okay, let's listen and find out.
A space space helmet lets you breathe in outer space, where there's very little oxygen. A space suit protects you from the freezing cold, harsh environment of outer space. Special gloves and boots protect your hands and feet while you work in outer space. A toolbox holds all the special things you need to work in outer space. Great job!
I love to pretend I'm an astronaut floating in space. Whoa!
Let's play one last time. What do you want to learn more about?
Okay. You know what I think is so neat? The weather. I want to know why it's different every day.
Aha! I think you would like to be a meteorologist.
Oh, a meteorologist. A meteorologist learns about the weather and studies the weather. Can you say the word meteorologist? That's a big, long, grown-up word. When I get to 1, I want you to say meteorologist with me. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Meteorologist. Nice job. Let's learn about the tools that a meteorologist needs to do her job.
A meteorologist studies the weather and tries to tell if it's going to be rainy, snowy, or sunny. What tools does Gabriela need to do her job?
What tools do you think a meteorologist would need in order to study the weather? Do you see things here that you think would help her as a meteorologist? See if you can name 3. Okay, let's find out if you're right.
A rain jacket keeps you dry in the rain. An umbrella protects you from the rain. A thermometer tells what the temperature of the air is. A wind meter is a device that tells how fast the wind is blowing. Great job!
If I were a meteorologist, I could tell you when it was going to rain.
That was fun, and you did such an excellent job. Thanks for playing with us.
Mom, I can't wait to grow up so I can be a scientist too.
Mija, you don't need to wait until you're grown up to be a scientist. You can explore and make lots of discoveries all around you, right now. Hasta luego. Come back and play again soon.
You did great listening during that video. Now it's time for us to see if we can name some of the tools that we learned about in our last science lesson. So we're going to play another game of Name That Tool. Okay, do you remember the name of this tool here? Scientists use it to look through so that they can see things really up close and zoom in. If you know the name of this tool, call it out in 3, 2, 1. Did you say hand lens? If you said hand lens, you are correct. The name of this tool is a hand lens. There's another name for this tool that you might have called out as well, and that would also be correct. As a matter of fact, in our video, they called this a magnifying glass. So you could call this tool a hand lens or a magnifying glass. Let's see what our next tool is. Okay, let's see. Do you know what this tool is? What's the name of this tool? If you know, call it out in 3, 2, 1. Did you say microscope? If you said microscope, you are correct. A microscope, just like a magnifying glass or a hand lens, is used to zoom in on things and make them bigger. But with a microscope, we can see things that are so tiny that we wouldn't even be able to see them without a microscope. Things like germs can be seen through a microscope. Pretty cool, right? Okay, here comes our next tool. Do you know the name of this tool? This is a tool that you'll be using in class. If you know it, call it out in 3, 2, 1. Did you say it's a ruler? You are right. Rulers are used to measure the length, width, or height of something. Let's see what our next tool is. Do you know the name of this tool? If you know it, call it out. 3, 2, 1. This is a balance scale. That's right. But if you just said the word balance or you just said the word scale, that would count too. A balance scale is used to tell us how heavy objects are, how much they weigh. Let's see what our next item is, our next tool. Ooh, this is a tricky one. Do you remember the name of this one? If you know it, call it out in 3, 2, 1. Did you say that this is a beaker? It is a beaker. Beakers are used to measure the volume of liquid or how much liquid there is. And what is the name of this tool? Think about it. Call it out in 3, 2, 1. Did you say magnet? You're right. A magnet attracts things that are made from iron, which is a type of metal. This is a scientific tool that you probably have in your home. Maybe you use magnets to help you to hang things onto your refrigerator. Or maybe you just use them to play scientist at home. Since you are all scientists, we are now going to work on a special project where we make ourselves into a scientist. So, this is what your project might look like when it's all finished. This one was done by Devin last year. As you can see, he drew a picture of his face, and this here that you see, this is called a lab coat. We learned about lab coats a little bit in our last lesson. A lab coat is a special kind of coat that scientists wear so that they keep their bodies protected and they keep their clothes clean. Now, he wrote, a scientist, they ask questions. You're going to also write something that a scientist does. So let me show you the steps that we're going to follow so that you can make your own scientist project. Okay, if you are at home, you will find this template in your Google Classroom. If you're in school, your teacher will give it to you. Now, this template will have 2 pages. One page that looks like this, and one page that looks like this. Can you guess what you'll draw in this circle? What do you think you'll draw? Yeah, you'll draw your face in that circle. So the first thing that you'll need to do is cut out both. I'll show you how mine looks when it's all cut out. Okay, so I've cut out my lab coat and I've cut out the circle for my face. And I want you to notice how I did not cut this dotted line. Do you remember how I told you that I like to imagine my scissors as a shark that likes to eat paper? And I told you that my scissor shark only likes to eat the black lines. Well, let me tell you something more about that. My scissor shark, he hates eating dotted lines like this. He only likes black solid lines. So make sure that you don't cut these dotted lines. Those dotted lines tell you that you need to fold on that line. So you can go ahead and pause the video here to cut out your lab coat and to cut out your circle. Okay, once you're finished cutting out your lab coat and your circle for your face, the next thing that you'll want to do is you'll want to write your sentence. A scientist, ... Let's think of things that scientists do. What are some things that scientists do? Can you tell someone next to you one thing that a scientist does? If you're at home, you can tell somebody in your house, or even tell your imaginary science partner. If you are at school, you can tell somebody who's sitting next to you. What is one thing that a scientist does? Ready, set, share. One, two, three, eyes on me. Let's see if you came up with any of the ideas that I have. Well, a scientist, let's see, learns about the world. A scientist, what else does a scientist do? A scientist observes things closely. What else does a scientist do? A scientist uses tools. What else? Let's see, can you think of other things that a scientist might learn about? A scientist learns about the weather. A scientist learns about rocks. There are so many things, so many different things that scientists do. I'm going to write, a scientist uses tools to learn about the world. Learn about the world. Period. Oh, I have to write my name. I almost forgot to do that. Oh my goodness. How could I almost forget that? The first thing I do is always the same. I pick up my pencil and write down my name. I should have done that first thing. but I'll do it right now. Okay. Now, I had mentioned that these dotted lines are meant for folding. Before we go on to the next step of folding on our dotted line, you might want to pause the video to write your sentence. Once you're finished writing your sentence, you're going to fold along this dotted line here. We're going to fold in. So we want to be careful to match our fold with that dotted line. Okay, see now it looks like a flap to a lab coat. You'll do that on both sides. Fold on that dotted line. Okay, what we need to do next is we need to take our lab coat and what will be our head, and we need to paste it onto another sheet of paper. Now, I only have white paper, but maybe you have another color paper. You can use any color paper you would like. So first, I'm going to put paste on just this part. I don't want to put it on the flaps, just the middle. I always like to do a box and an X, so I know it will really, really stick. And then I press it down hard with my hand. I flatten it out. Okay, and now I need to add my head. So I'm going to put my paste on the back, circle and an X. And then I'll push it down and I'll flatten it out. All right, and now I'm ready for my picture. So I can draw my face and I can draw my feet. Okay, so you'll do that and you want to do is on the outside of these flaps, you're going to give yourself some arms because in our hands, we are going to be holding some science tools. So let's see. In this hand, I'm going to hold a magnifying glass or a hand lens. What's another tool that I could hold in that a scientist might be holding in their hand? Oh, maybe in this hand, I'll be holding a thermometer. So I'll draw my arm, my hand, and I'll draw my thermometer in my hand. Okay. And you can do that too. So don't forget, draw your face, give yourself some legs and some feet, and then you'll draw your hands holding some tools that we know scientists use. Thank you so much for joining us today for our science lesson. I hope that you enjoyed learning more about life as a scientist. Have a great day, kindergarten scientists. I'll see you next time.